Okay, one thing, like I said before, I want to touch on is I've been covering a lot to do with the sort of the negative side of steroids. And I know I've sort of prepped that this question was coming, but part of the reason why I've been putting this out there is about 3-4 years ago, I pretty much nearly died from taking steroids. I had bilateral pulmonary embolism. Did a big video on my channel about it. Long story short, I'm sort of like trying to put, not like a public service announcement, but sort of getting from obviously 2 pros and Nick, an ex-pro. Nick, obviously you cover this a lot, not just on Instagram, you do Q&As on it, on your channel, all that sort of stuff. One thing I wanted to touch on with you guys is, as youngsters coming through the ranks from your gyms, did you ever just think, because obviously we're all from a different era and you've obviously got a lot of younger guys out there now, did you ever think at 16, 17, oh, I want to jump on gear like these kids are doing nowadays? Nowadays, they're all just, everything's quick, everything's fast, they want it now, and it is an option for them. If you could give them advice individually, what would it be?
You go first, Ricky. I gotta plug my phone in. It's about to die. That's all I say.
Ricky, you go first.
So, man, my advice, 16, 17, I never even thought of it. I never thought.
I'll be back in 1 second.
And truthfully, when I started in men's physique, I still, I was still like, when I told you last time, I was very naive to it, very naive. The whole time I'm going through doing shows, man. Nah, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do what these guys are doing. I don't need that, right? Boom, turn pro, nothing. Did those two pro debuts, hearing everybody all in my ear, man, you have great genetics, you have this, you have that. I get on stage, I got my ass kicked. And that's when I realized, wait, well these pros right here, they have superior genetics too. So then you add on top of that, I don't care how hard my work ethic is, what type of genetics I have. If this other person has the same thing, plus they're adding in extra, there's no way I can stand with them. And you just like that's just something that you have to realize now. I see a lot of them, their first show, they're already trying to jump on every single thing. And honestly, no matter how much gear they take, I've learned if you don't have the genetics or the structure for it, I mean, you're only going to go so far.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's just being completely honest.
So that's good advice for somebody that's wanting to compete or potentially might jump on cycles to eventually compete. What would you say to some of these young teenagers that are, taking cycles now, that are doing it for just vanity reasons? They want to look a certain way, to act and feel a certain way.
Honestly, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I can say it. I know it sounds funny. It might sound hypocritical or whatever, but I mean,
you want me to go?
You got some good. You got some.
Yeah, man. I think it's stupid, to be honest with you. Like, yo, you're 15, 16 years old, and you're literally fucking yourself up for life, basically. Like, no, without a doubt. Especially for something like this, like vanity reasons. Like, I mean, I know most kids, you think, girls think they want to see me jack, they want to soul dude. Girls don't typically care. They want to do it like a Zac Efron body, and then they're happy with it. They don't need someone like, 5% body fat, 200 pounds. Girls.
I met my wife when I was 152 pounds, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, girls do not, especially, And then I see have these, I have the bikini girls, they're dating dudes like in their 40s with dad bods, So definitely, like, if you want to focus on something, focus on getting money, because definitely a lot, be a provider, because those L's ain't gonna get it, man.
Well, that's real talk.
Yeah, man.
Get some money for it.
That's a little much, but man, I don't think I wouldn't be using anything if I didn't compete, because I don't even like taking anything, to be honest with you. It sucks. And I think most people who pen, it's like it's not something they look forward to. It's like, oh, I gotta do this because this is the climate we're in. We have to be competitive. We kind of have to do that. But if I'm not competing against anybody, I don't care. That's not, Granted, there are some bodybuilders who just, some people do actually just like taking stuff and are, I don't know, but that's them. That's not me. But especially at 15, 16, man, like most people, man, when you first start lifting, if you're doing everything right, if you're eating your training, you should gain, anywhere from 20, like if you're short like me, 20 pounds, and if you're taller, up to like 40 pounds in like the first year. I
think part of it's down to like the younger generation now. It's just lazy. It's easier to obviously, we all know how easy it is to get steroids, whatever you need. It's readily available. I mean, it's like I say, it's so easy for these guys to go, get it in the gym, jump on a cycle.
Yeah.
And part of the videos that I've been doing is the addictive side to steroids, because I genuinely think, like, obviously we all know once you've taken your first cycle, you obviously you eat better, you train harder, because there's that sort of placebo effect in your head thinking, this lot's just cost me a lot of money, so I need to make the most out of this stack. So obviously you clean everything up. But I think most people genuinely chase that first cycle. Obviously, when you just blow up over, 8, 12, 16.
Nah, that didn't happen to me. I literally my first cycle was like I did a show, and then I did a cycle into a contest prep. I weighed the same both shows. Granted, I was a little bit leaner, but I literally weighed 154 pounds both shows. And I'm only 20 pounds heavier now, than that was 6 years ago. So no, people don't think, man, like it's so. I definitely think people like at 15, 16, you don't even know like enough to know what you don't know. Yeah. And like, so the simple fact of it is like yeah, people talk about genetics, but there's like literally like genetics for everything. It's not just you have good genetics for bodybuilding. It's like maybe you have good genetics for getting lean, maybe you have good genetics for putting on size, maybe you have good genetics for your structure. These are all separate things. And then there's also like genetics for like how well you respond to anabolics, and that's a big fucking thing. Yeah. And people don't realize that some people don't respond whatsoever. And I'm a coach, so I see a little bit of everything. So like, and I wish Nick's probably seen it too, but where I've had even some natural guys put on more size than people who are enhanced, just because they just have better genetics for certain things, man. And it is what it is. And like, I've seen some people, man, like they will like drug themselves to death trying to chase a look or the size. And I'm like, dude, it's just not in the cards, especially with you being 15, 16, and like, you don't even know your potential yet. Right. And on top of that, there's so many reasons. And on top of that, man, it's like, I've had like, I don't work with any teenagers, but I've had like 20-year-olds to 22-year-olds come to me, and they're already started their first cycle, and like they fucked themselves up already. Like, whether like one kid, to be honest, he had a whole bunch of acne in it. He has tons of scars now. He's never gonna get rid of those scars from that acne. That's fucked up his bodybuilding career. You know what I mean? Like, how many bodybuilders who has terrible skin? You don't really know any, So it's just like, dude, just take time, do the best you can, with this diet and training. And then also on top of that, man, like if you do like decide to do something like that, find someone who's actually knowledgeable, like, because it's not just, there's so many different variables, and yeah, they say certain steroids are supposed to do this, they're supposed to do that, but that's just a general guideline. Like everything affects everyone differently. And if you don't know how to respond to that because you just thought, oh, they say it's going to do this, you're going to, like I said, you're going to fuck yourself up, and it could be for life. It may not be for life, but it could be.
Most of the time it will be.
I think that the nail on the head is obviously you said, I mean, as bodybuilders and as, a commentator or whatever you want to call me, the word genetics gets thrown around all the time. He's got good genetics. He's got, you know what I mean? It's thrown around a lot. I think the point you've made there is basically at that age, they don't know their genetic potential. So like you said, the things that they need to to work on is like their diet potential, their training potential, and then obviously as a collective putting the pieces to the puzzle together as they hit, the peak at, the testosterone levels at 2021. Then they'll obviously have a better idea as to what they're going to do going forward.
And man, I'll tell you right now, like I've even like been surprised by some of my clients who are natural and how much muscle they put on just from me, giving them a better training program or a better, meal plan. I'm like, dude, I've seen some guys who send me like, they'll send me like a transformation from when they first got me to later on. And I'm like, I didn't think that was possible from a natural person, so people like, I think what really irritates me is people see somebody and like people, they literally have no idea what's naturally possible anymore. And it sucks because people lie and they do this. And it's to the point where they don't believe, even if a person is natural, most of the times they don't believe it. But I mean, even with Keon, I remember Keon said, I believe it. Without a doubt, Keon was natural at the Arnold. Just for the simple fact of how much muscle he put on in between that show. Or was it New York? Was it a New York Pro? It was, yeah. Yep. Just like, that's not like, that's not normal amount of muscle he put on in that time. And if you even add on to the simple fact of like, with his decision of going to 212, obviously he's like Keon has very good genetics, and he has good genetics for like just straight up putting on muscle. Then he also responds to gear very well if he's deciding to go to 212 that quickly. And that's the only reason I could think he's moving up is because, oh wow, I responded this well to this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm because he did classic for maybe a year and a half as a pro. So I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah. So like, there's some pretty like incredible like natural athletes. There's another guy, Doug Miller. He's very, very impressive. And then like if you actually see some like good like natural competitions, those dudes get fucking shredded, and they like get leaner than most like open bodybuilders that and aren't at the Arnold or the Olympia or whatever. These dudes get like lean, man. Like that's not an issue whatsoever. But it just sucks, man, that kids just like, if they don't have it at that moment, then they don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like I was talking to Joe about it, like back when I was a kid playing football, I was 15, 16-year-old. There was kids that were like 5'7", 200, 20 pounds, like benching 315. I'm like, I guarantee you, they were not on anything. Like, I lived in the town of 300 people. Like, what you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Dude, like,
one
if you played any,
everyone.
Yeah, like there's some genetic freaks out there. I'm like, dude, like, just kids you see in school like that, you're like, whoa, that dude's huge already. As a teenager, So me seeing stuff like that growing up, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely possible for like, even those guys didn't even train to be bodybuilders and they were already jacked,
Yeah.
So, and you look at guys like, and I love like, I know I'm going on a rant, but like,
that's cool.
I love like looking at the history. I love history. So like with bodybuilding, man, like I look at guys like Victor Riches. Like if you see pictures of Victor Riches when he was a kid, that dude was huge, man. He was big. He's bigger. Like, and a lot of these bodybuilders, like before they even competed, like not all of them, some of them just responded really well to gear. But then there's a lot of them that were already naturally big as kids, and they, no matter what they were already bigger than some people are, with gear.
Yeah,
and they were naturally badly trained. So, dude, it's just if you actually look around and do some research and see what's out there, you learn stuff real quick, man.
So have you ever had any problems, any side effects, any concerns, health concerns, or have you just been clean and clear all the way through?
My biggest thing is, one is like I just have to keep checking my blood pressure. One, because African Americans just normally have higher blood pressure than most other races, and then two is because I'm a country boy and I put like way too much sodium and seasonings on my food. So that's the only issue I've had, man. Nothing else, man. Nothing else has been a concern whatsoever. Yeah, but blood pressure is like a big thing. Yeah.
You guys were talking about what the steroid use for younger kids.
Yeah.
I've literally been talking like the last kids, like nonstop.
Where are you guys at right now?
Well, start again, because I really.
Well, I can. I mean, I've spoken about this, but obviously I'm gonna talk about it on your channel. But I started steroids at 15, 16 years old. I was very young, but I was influenced because I had scholarships on the line for track and field, and I did the decathlon in high school, and I had I went to Catholic school and it was very competitive. So I was like, fuck it, I want the advantage, And at that time, well, I still am. I'm like a no holds back. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll do whatever it takes to win. That's just how I am. And I knew I wasn't gonna get tested. It's high school, and this is 2001, 2. You know what I mean? Like, no one even thought about steroids back then. So that's why I got started into them. And then I realized, wow, shit, I'm getting big like really fast. Like, this is crazy. So I went through some shit in high school, got booted out of high school. I lost my scholarships. Then I worked at a gym as my first job at like 16 years old. And I discovered Rich Gaspari, Victor Martinez. They came to my gym. And then I just fell in love with bodybuilding even more because I saw them up close and personal. Before it was just magazines, and I was obviously like into it, but I never actually saw somebody in the flesh. So then I started going to shows, and that's where the whole obsession started, like right from there. And then I was already like, oh, I took it for track. Why can't I do this for bodybuilding? You know what I mean? So it was not like a hard transition for me or even something I even questioned. And but I also had a lot of good peers around me. I had people that were experienced in it, people that had been doing it for a long time. I wasn't reckless when I was a kid. I didn't get reckless till I was like 21, 22 when I got really competitive, and I wanted to win. And that's when I started to like push the envelope a little too far. Obviously I came out of it safe and sound, but I don't advise anyone to do what I do when I talk about that stuff. I always tell people this is what you don't do, and I realized that at a very young age that more was not better. Starting so young was kind of stupid because I kind of like burnt myself out a little bit, if I'm not going to lie, because then I probably could have been competing still right now if I didn't burn myself out. But I think everything happens for a reason at the end of the day. But people that are young that are listening to this, I advise everybody to like work out for at least 3 to 5 years naturally, no matter where you are, no matter what age you are, to get a good foundation. And then you could start playing around with stuff you want safely. But I think building a foundation's key, getting used to it, see if there's something you really want. Because a lot of these kids just do one cycle and never go back to the gym, and they're making their health detrimental to one cycle for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, see if you actually like going to the gym, eating every day, waking up the next day and doing it over, and you like the pain, you like the suffering, I would like to see if somebody do that for 3 to 5 years, then be like, okay, you know what? I like this shit. I want to push myself to the next level. Not like, let me go to the gym and do a cycle and then quit the gym and then go back and do a cycle next year for the summer and be unhealthy for 8 months.
That's
what I mean? That's just
doing, though.
That's stupid. That's really stupid.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. But like Russ, you took a while to even think about going that route. You were bodybuilding naturally for a while, and like you never pushed the envelope crazy. You never had to. Like you gave yourself time. You trained hard. You were in the army. You fucking had that background already, So
yeah.
I think a lot of kids lack that part, like just the hard work and the dedication
and the
first.
discipline. Yeah.
Yeah, discipline is everything with this sport. I mean, you're not waking
you're a coach, man. Like, you probably get a lot of young guys, and you probably got the intake form of like how much you're eating, and they say I don't know, and then like half the time they say what are you taking, and they say, oh, I'm taking this and this. I'm like, well, bro, like what are you doing?
Give me 2 pages of drugs, but like really a paragraph about what they eat.
No,
I'll eat whatever. I'll eat whatever. I'm like, that's not the right answer. I'm like, tell me what you're eating. Oh well, this week I'm like, how do you not know what you're eating?
Because they don't. Yeah.
They don't eat. They don't eat. They're on the routine. They're on a routine, and that's like the number
calories in
tren. And they think all calories are equal, and they think that tren is God, and that's what they think. And it's just really sad though, because I don't know where the turning point was where it got like that, because it was never like that, not that long ago, and it's just unfortunate because there could be probably a lot more better bodybuilders if people did things smarter and safer.
Yeah.
And this industry could probably be a lot more popular if it wasn't so reckless, And I think it'd be more respected too, because now I think there's less respect for us now than ever. I think, from the way I get the gist of people, they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of crazy people who take drugs, and meatheads and this and that. And I think if things were done in a controlled environment and people were smarter about it, and I think there'd be a lot more respect given, even within our sport, because now everyone's just like, oh, he's big because he does that. And I'm like, no, you dumbass. Like, he's big because he works hard and he has genetics and he does this every day, and it's just such a lame excuse for people to use. It's so lame, that's what really bothers me, honestly. Just the excuses everyone makes.
That's what you see in most of the comment sections on any bodybuilders, just the needle emoji and just a lot of bullshit around.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's not much, like, if I run an ad for coaching, like 90% of my comments from the regular, general public, because it's obviously promoting to regular people too.
Yeah.
Are like, oh, why is this ugly meathead juice head on my feet? Or why is this disgusting freak? Or, oh my God, he's full of drugs. Like, it's just negative shit everywhere. And I fitness was not like that. And I talk about it because it really stresses me out that it's so, like, negatively portrayed in this image. Yeah. And if people actually sat down and learned about it, they'd probably be intrigued and interested in it, And it just sucks. It just sucks to see the way it is right now.